Today on Marvel Movie News, we're going to discuss what possible stories from the comics we would like to see. What would be the best options to see in the future of the MCU? We'll do that and more fan questions, plus a look at the hottest rumors off the mill on today's Marvel Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Good afternoon to you, our merry Marvelites. We are coming to you live from the time stream created when we ripped Infinity Stones out at the wrong moment.
Fair.
Yeah,
because we're
in
talking
that
about
one.
potential futures of stories on Marvel, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hey, I'm Zach Wilson. Xia Anderson's over there.
Hi.
Christian Blatt's right next to her.
Hi, I'm Christian Bladt, and I'm an alcoholic. Whoop, wrong meeting.
Wrong meeting. Thanks, Ryan.
Very
That
slow
was
on that ride.
perfect.
Very slow.
No, that was perfect
No, I think that
timing
was
because
perfect
that was
timing.
the delay that joke deserved.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As we said at the top, we are going to be doing a lot of fan questions today. It was a little bit of a slow news week, but there's still some interesting rumors out there. But so we want to take that opportunity to field some questions and also dive into what was one of the questions sent to us to the still active, I don't mention it as much, but the still active email address, Doom's Question Corner.
oh, yeah. Email that. Email
Doom's
us
Question
questions.
Corner at gmail.com. You can still send things there and I'll get them. People don't really use it much anymore. But this one was sent in to
Well, we
us.
don't talk about it.
Like what the best storylines for the future, like what would be the best storylines for the future of the MCU. So we're
Everybody's
going to.
already gonna know my answer.
Yes, we know.
We have a
already
few.
knew it.
I didn't even have to ask
No,
what Zia's was.
he's just like, I already have your image pulled, Zia. I was like, oh, okay.
All right, but we're gonna dive into that
Later.
a little later. But I want to get through the rumors really that were
Yeah.
this week. That's the thing. Most of the news this week was just pure speculation and rumor, most of which is completely unfounded until we are proven wrong. Should we start off with some actual news though?
Yeah, let's
some
start with
actual
actual
news. Is kind of
news.
small. So Tom Hardy posted and then deleted an image of Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy earlier this week.
I mean, you know, we knew that from the end of the last Venom movie, so it's not like a huge surprise.
We have seen him as
Yeah.
Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah.
But this was
And
from
the terrible hair.
This was from the next movie. It is from the
Sure.
new movie, and then a video from an onlooker near filming, like basically showed the same outfit.
Yeah.
and it's basically It looks like Woody Harrelson. It's so dark you can't even tell if he's wearing the wig that he was wearing at the end. I think he still is.
That wig is brutal.
But he's in like a Hawaiian t-shirt or Hawaiian shirt that looks like it could just be Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
In
Just
that shirt, like
hanging
he
out.
would wear that is just himself. He might have just been wearing it.
What
that
if this
day.
character is just literally Woody Harrelson, but a psychopath?
Well, I saw that picture
that's
and I was
Psychopathic
like,
Woody Harrelson. I'm down.
when I saw that picture, I was just thinking like, man, this Cheers reboot is going to be dark. There he is.
Oh, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and,
wanna
like,
know
This
why
doesn't
he's
even
in
have to
that.
be from the film. This could be him on set. This could be him in the food line.
Well, that's the thing.
between
Just
this could be
hanging out.
this could be him on
But-
Saturday. He has people over to his house in Vancouver or wherever they shoot.
and we can't show the video because it's owned by that person. But there was video from a fan. It showed him basically like being shot at by somebody. Like there's a shot. It's like a guy and he fires off blanks, and then there's Woody Harrelson, Cletus Cassidy standing there in that shirt, so
Yeah.
we know it's from this movie. Basically just doing like this with his hands, like his hands go out,
Which
and then he
means
stops. Which
that's
is like
probably where
yeah,
Yeah.
that's like
Carnage.
they're gonna put Carnage on top
Yeah.
of him in that moment.
How
So
weird. I just think about like having to act as somebody that they're going to put special effects on you afterwards. Like you have to act as if you have these limbs and these things going on that are not going on.
well, in this case, he basically just moved and then stopped and then stood, and then they waited for a few seconds and then they cut.
Yeah.
Wow, how bizarre.
But yes, there would probably be other sequences where he has to move. Maybe they just. I think in a lot of cases he just stops and then they put the CGI there, and then they do mocap if they're going to do mocap, which I don't think you need to do for Carnage because he doesn't.
I don't think so.
Because
Not,
Carnage
no.
and Venom don't. Venom a little bit, Carnage less so. They don't move like humans.
Right.
The symbiotes tend to move more like crazy, exaggerated, and body bending than you can really get, unless you you got like Doug Jones to come in, you're not getting that kind of crazy inhuman flexibility.
Yeah, that's definitely something you have to do with special effects after the fact.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But like, do motion capture where it makes sense. Not really necessary for symbiotes. But yeah, that's what we have for Venom 2. No other news. The movie's coming in October. So
Still
soon.
plenty of time.
It's funny. You're like, still plenty.
No,
I'm
that's
like, it's so soon.
That's a lot. I mean, we're going to get New Mutants and Black Widow before that. So,
Oh,
yeah.
we have time.
Yeah.
But from a movie making perspective, it's so soon.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They've got a lot of time to add Carnage to it. That's true, to that shot.
Oh, no, I'm saying they don't. I'm saying
I think it's plenty of time.
They've got less than 10 months.
That's fine. It's no problem.
VFX will
Yeah,
figure it
it's
out.
whatever, you know.
No, I hope that
Crunch
they've.
time!
I mean,
Yeah.
I hope that they do. They
No, I
have
hope
it
it
all
looks
planned,
good,
and they
actually,
don't
yeah.
have crunch time because solidarity with VFX
Yeah, let's hope that
artists.
that's like a reshoot that they need to add into it, and that they've already, begun the process of adding Carnage to everything that they need.
Oh well, there's plenty of previs and stuff that goes into stuff like that. VFX is working while they're shooting. Anyway, let's move into Rumor Town.
Rumor Town, my favorite place to be.
Let's start with the one that like claims to have more sources, I guess, which it would be. Well, we're jumping over to Disney Plus for most of this. We talked a little bit about it last week, but there's more stuff this week suggesting that Kang could be a major factor in the Loki series. And then the speculation from that, like, oh, they've cast Owen Wilson. Could Owen Wilson be playing Kang the Conqueror?
That would be weird.
Which would be the strangest casting.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to picture that.
Oh
and I just
wow! I've
don't.
come to conquer you, Avengers.
wow.
Oh no! Let me just Ryan, you can isolate this clip. There is 0% chance Kang will be in the Loki series on Disney Plus. He's too big a character. This is the dumbest rumor I've heard in a long time.
Here's why.
Anyway, you guys
here's
can
why,
talk about it for
Here's
5
why
minutes
you're
now.
wrong, Christian.
Okay, tell me why.
Oh.
Kang is a character that has at least 5 different iterations.
Well, there's the Mortis, there's the Druid. These are all the same
There's
guy.
Iron Lad.
Right.
But they're all the same guy. What I'm saying is we may get a version of Kang that is not called Kang.
Wow.
But because this is overseen by Kevin Feige, these shows, he said this, are going to be much more influential to the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think there is a chance
So if
that
you cast Iron Lad, you're like, well, this is going to be who plays Kang eventually.
No,
So
not necessarily.
I'm just using, like hypothetically.
You
though.
could have different actors playing him
Oh,
at different
that's-
points
okay,
in his
that's
life.
fair.
So you
Yeah.
could get a version of Kang here that you never call Kang, but eventually, once you get to him in the next Avengers movie,
Yeah.
let's say, we realize, domino effect, this is one version of him, and then there's other versions later.
That definitely makes sense. That makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
actually, that tracks. Same way that WandaVision is sort of going to go into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Like, it's
Yes.
going to be that sort of thing.
Not
But
to
if
mention
it's-
that we've got, to help me out, Captain Marvel, but she's not Captain
Monica
Marvel.
Rambeau.
Monica
Monica
Rambeau.
Rambeau.
Yeah.
We've got Monica Rambeau in that first appearance, like as is this actress at least, and then she's going to later, I assume, appear in Captain Marvel too.
Right.
I do think, though, that if it's going to be Iron Lad, does that count as Kang? Even though that's
Well-
Kang at some point in his life, it's not really
Yeah,
Kang.
my
Owen
statement is
Wilson-
like the blue-skinned guy with the purple armor that we just showed a graphic for those on YouTube. Like that character won't be in this Loki TV series.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would agree with that. But what I'm saying is, and it
Yeah.
might be Owen Wilson, it might not be. Iron Lad
That
would
would
not
be
be
weird.
Owen Wilson because he's too old for that role.
Yeah.
But a version of Kang, you could make an original version that's just like an iteration of him,
Yeah.
or him undercover or something like that, where
Yeah.
he's like reskinning himself to look like Owen Wilson.
That'd be weird.
That would be an interesting decision by Kang.
In order to hide, because I mean, and again, this is all because it does look like Loki is going to be a time bending series in which gets into like an agency that will punish him for breaking the time barrier.
Right.
So it makes sense that Kang would somehow be involved, or at least his name gets dropped in the show.
Yeah, I feel like it's your theory definitely works, but I definitely think it'd be more likely that you just get a name drop and they'd be like, they tease at it and
Maybe.
then we see him.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
future.
inclined to agree with Arkham James Jr. in the chat that if you were to see one of the established versions, like Immortus makes more sense because it's not nowhere near as cool as Kang, you know. And I think you're saving Kang, but you can start planting these seeds along the way. I would say
Immortus would make a lot of sense, like to have him as this like crazy big bad, just like, and that's also such like a ridiculous name to drop, and like perfect tone wise for a Loki series where Loki has to go up and be judged by Immortus.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't say the word Kang at any point in the series, but it's like a last scene like post credits drop, and you're like, oh, they're gonna do it. Or you just see his skin start to turn blue and then cut.
In the chat,
Yeah,
Gamer
it'd be
Girl's
trippy.
on my side. She agrees with me. She thinks Kang will show up in phase 6 or 7 at the earliest. So, you know, it's a little
Well, this
wise
is something
on
that we'll talk about in,
Yeah.
in our in the back when we talk about what storylines we most want to see in the MCU.
Gamer Girl also. Maybe Owen Wilson works for Kang. Maybe he's Kang's personal assistant.
That would be really funny.
You know, like the old David
That'd be
Spade
really
character.
funny.
I'm sorry, and you are?
I would-
Yeah, Kang doesn't have time right now. You're going to have to take a seat.
I would love to see him playing a personal assistant.
Yeah,
Like that's
he's got the headset on and
Here's
everything,
the
the
thing,
Bluetooth, yeah.
what Owen Wilson is doing in a Marvel
Dude.
Marvel anything,
Yeah.
I'm
Agreed.
so excited to see because it's going to be something insane.
And
Yeah.
again, when the heck was the last time we've seen him on the screen?
Owen Wilson?
Yeah, when was the last time you guys saw him in anything?
Well, probably a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
There you go.
Well, no, his last movie was animated. But I think Owen Wilson had a voice in Isle of Dogs.
I don't know.
What is Isle of Dogs?
Well, there you go. It's an
should see
animated
it.
Wes Anderson movie. So, yeah, I just figured that out from context.
Anyway, moving on from Kang, unless everybody has anything else.
No,
but
no.
trust me, the word Kang will be dropped at least once more in this episode of Marvel Movie News. Maybe even Kodos. This one is more founded, actually. Falcon and Winter Soldier has apparently cast Carl Lumbly in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I did see that.
think I was- yeah.
That is actual
That's
news, right?
Yeah, no, that's,
that is
I would say
actual
that's
news.
confirmed.
News.
That's actual
That's
news.
confirmed.
Carl Lumbly plays the Martian Manhunter currently on Supergirl.
Yeah.
So that's where you may have seen him if you're a nerd. And we don't know what role he'll gonna be. Honestly, I don't even have any ideas.
If you're watching this show, you're a nerd. It's just let's just make sure that everybody don't be under any denial that if you're watching this show right now that you're like
Don't put labels on people. They could be
it's a cool-
geeks or dorks or.
all right,
Kind
you're-
of
no,
all the same thing.
no,
No,
oh my
how
goodness.
dare you, Zia?
They kind of are.
That's
No.
like Trekkies versus Trekkers. I can't. I don't have time to explain it to you.
I have literally in pitch meetings for projects in the past had to lay out the difference between the three words as
Yeah.
part of the whole thing.
To someone who has no idea what any of them mean.
And they're just like, oh, you are such a nerd.
Such a nerd.
Yeah, and I wanted to look him up. I wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right actor. Yeah, he was on Alias. I mean, a ton of other things, but that was
He's
sort of
just in Doctor Sleep.
yeah. But
Wow,
he
this sucks. He's been in nothing I've seen. I'd love to be like, oh yeah, I know. I haven't seen any of this.
well, good for you. See, look at all the stuff you have to watch now. You can go catch up.
Yeah, with
So,
all
yeah.
my spare time.
Look, I have no idea who he could be playing. It probably is a pretty small role. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like if he's
See.
probably somebody who works for the federal government, if I had to guess.
He kind of does look like
yeah,
a government guy.
like in
Blue
yeah.
suit.
I mean, he like worked for essentially the CIA in
Earpiece.
Alias, so he's like that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he does play like a good alien on Supergirl. Like he has that very much like otherworldly presence to him as the Martian Manhunter. It works. I don't know. We'll see what he does when in August when the show drops. Okay, another big like grain of salt, massive like block of salt rumor. Is because the sources on this are questionable at best. Red Hulk is the current rumor that Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross might be getting a bigger part as the Red Hulk in a Thunderbolts or Red Hulk show and or movie in the future. That's the rumor. Whether it's plausible, I mean, look, it's definitely plausible.
Of course.
Sure.
They have actively seeded. We've talked about it before. Thunderbolts in
Yes.
in the movies, like they're putting the pieces together. You could easily make a Thunderbolts movie out of. You've got Thunderbolt Ross there already. You've got Taskmaster coming up in May. with when Black Widow drops. You've got Baron Zemo coming up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he's got the mask and everything. And he's like the key. He's your key Thunderbolts guy. So you get Thunderbolt Ross and Baron Zemo together somehow. You've got easily the start of Thunderbolts, and you have more than enough villains at this point to assemble a crew of villains. The question is, are they going to do it? What do you guys think?
Sure.
I mean, I
don't
think
know.
that they will do it. I just don't know that it would be as soon as is being predicted. I don't know that we'd be so quick to Red Hulk. You know, I mean, I think it's something that they certainly would want to do at some point. I would personally like to see Grey Hulk before we saw Red Hulk, but that's just a different Bruce Banner Hulk. You know, it's just a different iteration of it. But
I think Smart Hulk is like our Grey Hulk.
I think Smart Hulk is the last Bruce Banner Hulk we're going to get.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be, although you never know. But in
Yeah,
theory,
that
I don't
story
know how
feels
much
done.
more. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more they're gonna do with the character in terms of changing him. I think we'll see him again, but he's really going to be Professor Hulk from here on in. Yeah.
Yeah, which this is probably the only Smart Hulk version I've liked, or version of Smart Hulk that I've like generally liked. It tends to be something I don't enjoy in the comics when they make Hulk intelligent, except in very small doses.
It just kind of reminds me of Beast a little bit. It's a very similar Beast
Yeah,
character
I
when you
mean,
have a Smart
sure.
Hulk.
It's more like what I love about Hulk is the duality,
Yeah.
and as soon as you combine them, it becomes less interesting to me. Unless it is the way that the movie treated it, which is like you've battled your other self like into an there's an acceptance. There's like I like that chapter of the story of like this is sort of his final
Phase.
this is his final form.
Yeah.
But for me, most of the interesting parts of the Hulk are where you have a man and his demons, and they are completely separate, except that they're existing, except they are the same person, and one is going to destroy the world. That's what.
Definitely
yeah.
more interesting. I agree with you on that.
So where could the Red Hulk come in? I mean, if we can get the rights back from Universal, I would love to see a Red Hulk movie, like not just on the Red Hulk, but like that's your Hulk movie,
Right.
is where you get Bruce Banner in the driver's seat of like in like the starring role in a film, is Red Hulk coming in and making him look bad, maybe even especially now that he has become like a primary one of the Avengers and he's smart, and like suddenly Hulk is getting blamed for doing bad things, and but I'm not bad anymore, I'm Smart Hulk.
Yeah.
Dab.
Dab. Oh God.
Yeah, let us not forget that Hulk dabbed in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, he did. I know. It makes me really sad.
And said
Gamer
the
Girl-
word dab as he did it.
I know. He just.
In such a dad move. It's a dad move.
Oh, good lord.
Not sorry.
It's. No, that's not. I was just thinking about the dab. That's really what that good lord was. I was just thinking about the dab.
Zia, what do you think of the Red Hulk, of a Red Hulk movie?
I mean, I think it'd be cool. I don't see why that would be a bad thing. I can also see it going in the direction of a show too. Like I think that you could do it either way. I did see in the chat from a couple of people, most recently, Gamer Girl said the rumor is that she appears in She-Hulk, Red Hulk appears in She-Hulk first.
I saw that. That was when they first announced She-Hulk. There was a bunch of rumors flying around because, like, is Bruce Banner going to be there? And generally, I think that the expectation is yes, Mark Ruffalo will be there for at least one appearance.
Yeah.
And then like, do you bring Red Hulk in? I don't really want Red Hulk in the She-Hulk series.
You prefer a movie of Red Hulk?
Mainly because I'm not interested in his influence on her story. I want to just see Jennifer Walters' story. Don't muddy her stuff with like Thunderbolt Ross's nonsense. Let her shine, and then maybe get him in second season. But I do want to see Red Hulk in his thing. I just think he and Bruce Banner have way more to do together than Jennifer Walters. And
I don't know why, but I'm feeling
Ross.
like this would be more of a Disney Plus show than a movie.
It could be. I mean, there's a lot more. I mean, look, all of these movies could be Disney Plus shows now because
That's
they're putting the money
Yeah.
into them. It's just about length. Like does the story demand 6 hours of storytelling at a slower pace,
Or 2.5 to
is
3?
it just like a 2-hour to 3-hour movie that you can just tell the whole story in one sitting. And it both, like, that's the beauty of this, is that they finally put enough money into these TV shows. It's not a question of, like, do you need the big budget? It's, what is the best storytelling medium for this tale?
And I also think that what they're kind of trying to do, or what it seems like they're doing, is that, they're going to give more time to those stories that need I can't say words, that needs the time to tell. Did that even make sense?
No.
Anyway, but I also think that what they're doing with movies is they're sort of building to a bigger thing. And the shows are going to be like side pieces that still add to those, the building blocks of like getting to that big sort of Avengers level thing. But I think that the movies are always going to be slightly bigger than the shows.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that they'll look good and they'll spend money on them, but it won't. Obviously, the budgets will be great for television. But yeah, I agree with that. In the chat, I had to do some research. I wanted to make sure because I thought I had seen this too. There was a lot of clickbait and rumors about this idea that the Hulk rights reverted to Disney from Universal. Universal definitely still has the rights to make a movie with the word Hulk in the title. The fact that there's the She-Hulk TV series is that it's on TV. You can't do it in the movies. That's why we've seen him in Thor Ragnarok and in Avengers movies, but there hasn't been the Ed Norton one was like 2008 or 2000,
it's the
maybe 2010.
Right.
So we haven't had one in like a decade for this reason. And look, Universal, pun intended, pun coming, pun alarm, still licking its wounds from cats. So they are not going to turn over any intellectual property to anyone because, God, they just want a hit. They want something that's not fast nor furious that actually makes some money. So they're just like, no, Disney,
why
if
they
you
made
want
cats, no one asked for it.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, you're
Calm down.
right.
Zach's looking
You
over
didn't
there
see
like...
it. You didn't see it with Zach. I mean, I'm asking for a sequel, but that's besides the point.
God, you guys.
But in any case, so I can't imagine that if there's no reason that they wouldn't stand in the way. They're like, no, if you want to make a Hulk movie, you go ahead and make it with us.
Yeah, but the difference is like Disney won't do it.
Yeah, but they would rather not do a Hulk starring movie.
It's the same reason that they fought so hard against. Well, it's that they don't want to share the money.
Yeah,
because they're like, Disney has an absurd slate of Marvel things that they can do, and if they have to pick and choose, they're like, well, we could make 75% of the money on this project, or we could make 100% of the money by doing Blade instead of the Hulk movie. So we're gonna do Blade. Because why would you not? Like purely financially, it makes sense to just continue to do that. Plus, you get to keep doing on a creative standpoint too. New character, tell them new stories. I'm all in. Keep doing new stuff. I would also love to see Hulk I would like to see Mark Ruffalo's Hulk get his due.
I would like to see him star in a Hulk movie.
Yes.
But I can see all the reasons why they're just like, well, instead of spending all that money and sharing it with Universal, we're gonna develop a minor character like Quasar and give him a movie. Because they get to keep all of it.
All right, I'm putting down the Fist of Doom. It's time for Doom's Question Corner, which we haven't done in a while,
And if people want to send a question to Doom's Question Corner, how do they do that, Zach?
doomsquestioncorner@gmail.com.
That's right. So if you open your email program and you type in Doom's Question Corner @gmail.com, it will then go to Doom and we will answer your question.
At this corner of the show.
Yeah, in the corner of the desk.
Anyway, let's talk about this first big topic that we had enough warning to prepare for. Oh yeah, lightning.
We did it.
Was that Thor or was that Storm?
It was the booming voice of Doom.
Oh my gosh, I was wrong on both counts.
So
that was Doom.
Basically, this one was sent to us from Alex, and basically just wanted to know in so many words, what is the best storyline from the comics that you would want to adapt on the big screen specifically in the MCU.
I'm going to tell you right now, Zach, I see what you're holding, and I'm not at all surprised that this is a choice of yours.
No, I brought in one prop.
It's a good prop.
But I think just to get it out of the way, Xia, why don't you just drop
does anybody
a house of knowledge on us?
Does anybody very nice. Does anybody not already know what it's going to be?
I love it.
Can we get freaking House of M? Come on. That was was beautiful.
Well, the rumor is WandaVision may give you what you've been.
That'd be great,
for.
and that's a way to introduce a new look. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I'll do it. A new Wolverine, a new actor to play Wolverine.
Zac Efron.
Here's the thing.
Sorry, Zac Efron, no.
Give him another 5 years, which is probably when we'll get mutants on the big screen.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Look, yeah, and I think that's a great way. And I just, how much do you want to see Wolverine running around trying to put reality back? And how much do you want to see Gwen Stacy come back and have Spider-Man be an actual famous wrestler? I want to see all of those things.
Is Emma Stone playing Gwen Stacy?
That's the only person.
Okay, then yes. No, that's as long as that's happening, then I'm in. All right. I the rest of it you can have. I can't see anybody else playing Gwen Stacy.
So Christian, I wanna move on to because it's interesting because you and I have dueling ideas that would be called the same thing.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 different versions.
There's 3 different versions.
But Secret Wars.
Yes. Of course.
Not to be confused with Secret Invasion.
Right. Or Civil War. But from the era that I was reading comics, I love the original Secret Wars where everybody's just not everybody actually, certain characters are plucked out of the Marvel Universe and then onto this planet called Battle World by the Beyonder, and they fight. And here's the thing.
That is awesome.
The reason why this is good is that oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pluck the X-Men, and yeah, this is where they are now. You could do it in that way because they're just taken from wherever they are. It's all in the same reality, the way it was done.
They did this in X-Men the Animated Series.
Yeah, I just want to see everybody fight. That's really all I want. I just want to, so I want the massive team up. And then this is what I think of. I think of that Secret Wars, the shirt that I'm wearing for people that are watching on YouTube.
Literally the same thing on our
image
screen.
That is our screen. But you like one of the other Secret Wars, but not... Which one is it?
Not Secret Wars 2.
Right.
But the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars from 4 years ago, I want to say. Maybe a little more.
Did they do one in 2011?
When was this Secret War?
Sorry, because I read one of those, but now I can't remember which one because it was a while ago.
This was 2015.
Okay.
I don't
was
think
the
it
Secret
was
Wars
That's
that
the
I'm
one you're
talking
thinking about.
Which was basically when the universe all collapses on itself, the multiverse collapses in on itself, and you wind up with it's not dissimilar to Battle World, in that it is also called that, but it's literally a patchwork planet of the different universes where you have different nations with borders that are the different multiverses from the Marvel universe.
Whoa, that's
so you
trippy.
have the Western world that has a cowboy Captain America in one area, and then you have the Spider Island world where everyone has spider abilities in this one corner, and you have the they have a literal Game of Thrones wall around basically the South Pole, I believe is where it was located, which is all of the Marvel zombies are kept at bay in this one place. And you have stuff like the Thor Corps, which is the policemen of the battle world are different Thors from across the multiverse. So they all have hammers and they're all just different people who have been worthy of the hammer. So some of them are Thor,
amazing.
some of them are, you got Throg in there. They must, did they have, was Jane a Thor at that point? I can't remember.
I don't know, but I hope Beta Ray Bill was there. Was Beta Ray Bill
Yes,
there?
absolutely.
Okay, all right, because I feel like that would be
yeah, but you had all these people as this cop show within
I don't love that.
this weird world. It was
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was a summer worth where every book was built into this world. It was a super fun sort of series of books, and I would love to see some version of that done on the big screen. And what you get from that is this is when your worlds become, if you start doing multiverse stuff and you're like, there's too much going, what in the hell, there's so much happening, we need to condense this all. And this is how you got stuff like the Ultimate Universe, where you wanted Miles Morales to survive, but you didn't want that whole line of comics to keep going. So you just sort of broke the universe, and then when you put it back together, oh, well, Miles and all of his friends are also in the 616 universe now.
Yeah.
And then you move on. So that's the one that I really want to see, because I already got my number one wish, which was Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
like
I
that
can
was
see that, yeah.
like after that book, that was one of my favorite books to read when it was coming out, and then they've done it, and I'm like, all right, I can't even ask for much anymore because you just keep giving me the things.
Do you think now that Secret Wars that you were just talking about would work better as an animated film or live action?
As an animated film, you can get crazier, but if you do it live action, it's just like this. That's like Disney showing off. That's like if Disney does this for the Hickman Secret Wars on the big screen, where you have, because you can have like anyone, like what you do with Crisis on Infinite Earths on TV, where you just have anyone who has ever played any iteration of these characters come up for a second. Like you could bring them all in for like a cameo.
You could have Tobey Maguire
and Andrew Garfield.
Well, that's going to be the
Tom
live
Holland.
action Spider-Verse that is Tom Holland Spidey like 6 or something that I still very much believe could happen.
I hope so. That would be awesome.
See last week's episode for my thoughts on Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and how he will appear on the big screen.
Xeno Hour.
Again.
Hot take. House of X should not be adapted.
That's on my list. How dare you?
That's why I thought it would help bring it about, because Xeno Hour disagrees with you.
All right, I'll talk about it now.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think House of X, as it's written in the books, would work on the big screen, only because that's like 20 years down the line. Because House of X is like where you get when you've had a bajillion years of X-Men things that you kind of want to bring to a head and bring together. But if you reverse engineer House of X and you have this the idea of minor spoilers for House of X and Powers of X, where you have an island, Krakoa, of mutants where they all live, and then they disperse out into the world, as opposed to having to all relocate there. Now you've got the MCU seeing the mutants for the first time as immigrants from this super powerful small nation, and you can tell a really interesting story about how we treat immigrants in our culture.
You lent me the first issue of that, and I really liked it. I need to keep reading that series.
Well, they've started House of X and Powers of X have finally started hitting Marvel Unlimited. So I know the first 2 issues of each of those series are available now on Marvel Unlimited. So they'll be coming out probably weekly. They'll be dropping one of the 2 books.
Oh, that makes it so good, because we're not allowed to buy any more comic books. Not allowed.
Just in the world, or you personally? You did it yourself.
No,
that makes more sense.
My husband and I both made the decision that we're not allowed to buy anymore.
That's very fiscally responsible.
Speaking of not fiscally responsible, I posted about this on Twitter,
saw this.
but I like hadn't gone to pick up my pull list in a while, and I finally went because I got shamed into going, and it was like almost $100 worth of books. It's just like it piled up.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, fiscally responsible, yes, but also we don't have any more room for them. We already got these like comic boxes to store them in, and we have nowhere to put them, so they're like piling up in the corner. You have to stop.
You have to have a filing cabinet where you alphabetize all your books. I have that. Anyway.
Nerd.
Yeah. Xia, Christian, do you guys have any other stories that you want to drop that you really want to see?
I have one that I want to mention that is a sort of a mutant crossover, which is Inferno, and that works in a great way because of the fact that you're dealing with teleportation from Limbo, where Ileana Rasputin, who we'll see on screen in New Mutants, rules supreme basically, and then sort of gets tricked into opening these portals, and so those portals can go to anywhere. So again, this is me trying to basically take these crossovers and bring in characters into the MCU. And it's it's sort of not the best remembered of like the big crossovers. I would say that Mutant Massacre is probably a bigger, more interesting story, but this has so many different elements, and it involved the Marvel Universe proper, and then also the X. I mean, these are all in the same universe, but it also involved the X books. So that was the one that I was thinking of. But boy, it gets complicated because you'd have to introduce a Madeline Pryor and a Jean Grey. So it gets a little tricky. But that's something that I'd like to see. And this is, of course, in addition to Kraven's Last Hunt, which I've said many times.
Yeah, that's your House of X.
We're like so close to getting it that I don't even know if it's worth getting into. Anyway, but what about you, Xia?
I honestly just would like to see, this is just a character, and I feel like I brought this up before too. I would like to see some more Morph storyline from the X-Men the Animated Series. I think that he had a good one. I think they had so many good storylines from that show that I would love to see some of those. on the big screen. There's a storyline where Xavier, Professor like Magneto and Professor X go to oh gosh, what was the land?
The Savage
The
Land.
Savage Land. I would love to see that storyline because I think that would be really fun.
I would like to see the Savage Land in general.
Yeah,
I mean,
in general.
Like Khazar is not a character that you hear thrown around as even under consideration, but I think it would be a cool, just another place to go. With your storytelling.
Where would you put it in the MCU?
I mean, that'd be tough because again, that's dealing with a lot of mutants. That would have to be after House of M, so you could introduce mutants, or maybe after they've already been introduced. But it would be further down the line. It would have to be in a few years at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have a bunch of stuff from the chat. I saw Gamer Girl in the chat said Secret Invasion, and similarly, Joshua Never Josh. So Joshua says he said Avengers 5 should be Kree Skrull War.
I agree with that.
That'd be very cool.
I don't agree with that.
I mean, I would like to see. It doesn't have to be Avengers 5, but I would like to see it.
Secret Invasion.
Well, the Kree Skrull War. I'd like to see.
I think that. I mean, if you're going to do it, you do the Secret Invasion.
Right. Sure.
I guess the thing for me is I love the Secret Invasion, and a year and a half ago, I would have said, "Hell yeah, the Secret Invasion is a perfect post-Endgame story to do because it's very small and scary, and it's that idea: who can you trust?" However, what we have now set up with the Skrulls in this universe, you will have to bend over backwards to make them an equal bad guys to the Kree, because the Kree are now like just bad guys. They're pretty much just bad across the board, and the Skrulls are arguably good guys to us right now. Like we've acknowledged that there are bad Skrulls, but not a lot. They're pretty much on our side.
Yeah, and we're helping them.
We literally helped them in Captain Marvel, and then in Spidey Far From Home, they were like manning a space station in our orbit with Nick Fury's full support.
Yeah.
That's why, like, the idea of, as much as I love that moment, the idea of Nick Fury siding with Skrulls was such a comic book reader mind F. I try to keep it clean. I try. But again, like to get, I don't want to see a Kree Skrull War that is just one-sided. That's not what that story is. And Secret Invasion has to have bad Kree. So maybe you could do it. There certainly are ways a good writer could bend that, where like, oh, we trust some Skrulls, but then how do we know who to trust? Like theoretically, if you have Skrulls on your side, they would help you detect them easier. So it wouldn't, I don't know if it has the right.
You would have to have like a group of Skrulls that are like, a resistance or something to whatever's going on, and have them be like a core that like, oh, those are the bad guys.
But that's what I mean. Like you're bending over backwards to make it work. But that's it. Not a bad idea. It's just like it would be complicated in the MCU because of what we previously established.
Yeah, and I never want to see Ben Mendelsohn not be the character that he is.
You don't want him to suddenly be a bad guy now. Yeah,
that would break my heart. He's so freaking great.
But stories I do want to see in the MCU, and I have elaborate ideas of how
you still haven't held up your prop yet.
No, I haven't, because I'm holding Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange Triumph and Torment.
I am not at all surprised by this as a choice for you.
No, nor should you. I have many ideas on what you could do with Doctor Doom in the MCU and ways to bring him in. However, I think that Triumph and if you do, so here's the thing. There's a lot of rumors. Again, the rumor mill this week, there's just an old rumor, so we didn't bring it up, is that you could see Doctor Doom popping up in Black Panther 2.
Right.
Which makes sense. With a rumored title was Two Kings, and who those two kings are, I don't know, but it's the perfect sequel series to the first Black Panther. Is like, okay, well, T'Challa was gone for 5 years. In theory, other people had their other kings had their eyes set on this kingdom that was suddenly lost without its leader. And we don't know what happened in Wakanda while T'Challa was gone. Like how they were. We know that they were still going under Dora Milaje's leadership, but we don't know who was in charge. Like, were there any royals left? We don't know. So it makes sense to me that Doom sees this option of like, oh, I can go in and get the vibranium to make. I can do, because here's how Doom would approach that. Doom goes in and says, I know how to use that to better the world. so I'm going to take it from them by force, use the vibranium to create unlimited energy for the entire planet. I can use it better than you. That's Doom's mentality. He does generally try to do things that are good for the world. He just does them in a way that is incredibly selfish.
Right.
And
He's
like
more
does
for
not
the greater good type of
he fights for the
mentality.
He fights for the greater good, and he doesn't care who gets hurt along the way.
That's sort of the whole theory behind the greater good. It's like, for the greater good, like, yeah, the intentions are there, but you do all these really messed up things to get there, and you sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, make it okay in your head.
Yeah.
To do those things because you're like, oh, well, ultimately we're gonna justify. That's the word. You justify those actions.
And it becomes a thing where, like, if it's like someone gets in the way, like the Fantastic Four or T'Challa, it's like, why are you trying to stop me? I'm trying to do something good.
Right.
You're trying to stop me, therefore you're bad, and I'm going to kill you.
Which is a very interesting story to tell. It's not just, oh, good guy versus bad guy. It's not like, oh, this guy's incredibly evil. It's like, same sort of thing with Thanos. They did that similar thing. It's like, you understand where he's coming from. It's horrible, but in his mind, it makes sense, and he's trying to do a good thing.
You should understand the side of a good villain, which is why Thanos was like, you're like, is Thanos right? Like, that's why that's like, you're like, is he? I don't know, like, it's bad, but like,
the Earth is
I don't
really,
know.
like,
We're
dying
kind of
right now.
Yeah.
Like,
but so what? You introduce Doom there, and then, or in a Fantastic Four movie or whatever, and then Doctor Strange 3 is the one I want this to be Doctor Strange 3.
Okay.
And I wanted to come in the phase where you've started to get Blade in there, and Ghost Rider comes up. You're doing a lot of this like horror element, and because this story takes Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange into the depths of hell to save Doom's mother from Mephisto. Because Mephisto has been holding his mother, who's a witch, captive. Here, Zia, you can borrow that.
Really?
Read it.
Thank you.
And so Doctor Doom challenges Doctor Strange for the title of Sorcerer Supreme, which you could do or not do. Like, I could see him like challenging him for it, not in the organized sense that this book has, which I had a back and forth with. Where is his name in my Twitter feed? Eric. No. Who's that?
Eric Opperman?
Harold Stokes, who shouted this out before I could even say it on the show. And that it is because you get Doctor Strange helping out this guy who's this misguided guy because he just wants to help his mom. But he agrees to go into hell to battle Mephisto with him. And I think that is a really interesting story for Doctor Strange. It's very small, very insular, but it is absolutely a feature-length movie in it. But it's like all contained. It's like all about these like couple of characters that have to go on a mission. It's the kind of movie that I would love to see them make. And doesn't necessarily need tons of outside exposition. You get to do a small story with Doctor
It sounds to me like it would work best if this is not the way that Doom is introduced, though. You want him to show up somewhere else first.
He should be.
Yeah.
It doesn't... You need to know who he is, because this is Doom... This is also like... When Doctor Strange meets Doctor Doom in this, he is the bad guy. It's Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
I'm not going to help you. You're a villain. But you're a villain trying to do something good, in theory, so I'm going to help. You do need to establish him as a character who has done things that might be regrettable. Is how you get this story going. I would just love to see it.
I like this idea. I like it.
So that's my pitch for Doctor Strange 3. I'm on call if anybody wants to. Is there anyone else? Anything else from the chat on that topic?
Not really much happening in the chat right now.
Okay, real quick, another question that was sent to us, and then Ryan will wrap up right after this. But like, just Eric Opperman asked us who we think Christian Bale should be playing in Thor 4. We talked about it a little bit before, but I thought it was worth. But since it was sent in to us, I thought it was worth. Zia says Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bale's more like it.
Get out of here.
We'll all get out of here. So
I think it's Dario Agger, who's a Minotaur like industrialist.
Yeah,
he's like literally an oil baron who turns into a Minotaur. Which
like
sweet,
that.
which like Christian Bale as an oil baron who turns into a monster is just like mwah, on the nose casting.
Yeah, I agree.
And is a huge part of Jane Foster Thor's original storyline. So I think that he is primed to be that character.
I mean, you're right. He is a fantastic villain. Let's be real. Christian Bale pulls the bad guy off so well.
But also just like corporate bad guy. Yeah, Christian Bale just looks like corporate bad guy.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he's played that role enough times. All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Marvel Movie News.
A lot of fun with rumors.
Yeah.
We did.
Fun with rumors. That should have been the title of this episode. Fun with rumors. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next Thursday at 1 p.m. Be sure to like, rate, subscribe, all that stuff that helps us keep the lights on and keeps more people finding and nerding out with us. It really is a help. I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ThatZachWilson. Zia.
I'm Xia Anderson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Xia_land. Also, go check out my Twitch stream. It's just Zialand. Twitch.tv/Zialand. I do more than just gaming. I also do eating. If you're interested.
Wait a minute, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not interested in gaming, but I want to see you eat. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram.
It.
I just want to see what she's eating. I want to know.
I eat snacks.
Yeah. You can find
yourself.
me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. And tonight, over on AfterBuzz TV at 9 p.m. Pacific for the Star Trek Picard after show. And, other shows here too, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, amongst others. But I believe Z and I will see you next week. Zach, do you have another deep undercover agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. assignment?
I have to go out of town for work.
No, it's a deep undercover agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. assignment.
That's work.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. I forgot that we can tell the fans of this show.
I'm going to be out of town for work, so I'm going to miss next week's episode. But I'll be back in 2 weeks, and we will see you guys then. This has been Marvel Movie News. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or